All right, guys, we're back. I'm joined once again by my beautiful co-host and wife, Jen. Thanks for joining me, babe. We're going to talk about frenemies. Shady friends, backhanded compliments, fake support, and women with jealous single friends. So, what is a frenemy, babe? Do you got the definition?
I do. A person with whom one is friendly despite a fundamental dislike or rival.
All right, so let's talk about people who claim they love you, but low-key hope you fail. Babe, have you ever had a personal experience or a personal friend who clapped for you, but it felt off?
Yes, I think everyone probably experienced that.
Okay, what about a situation like that? Maybe you got a promotion, or something in life happened for you, or I don't know, but they congratulated you, but it didn't feel truly congratulatory. What about it?
Yeah, that usually comes like I had it in different forms where they'll actually congratulate you, but then throw shade afterwards. A little shady. I'm glad you got it, but I hope you don't mess up in it. Look shade, just shady, or you say it and they don't really have much to say. They get real quiet. I think all of that is characteristics of a frenemy.
Like,
Or I'd even have people who have issues with you or with me and won't tell everybody but me. Like all of that. I think it just falls up under that category, and I dealt with it.
now, what about the type of friend that always has something to say, but not to you? And maybe within the friend group, it still got back to you. Now, what do you do? Do you cut that friend off? Do you continue on with that friend group? What do you do?
I think when people expose who they are, when they one way in front of you and then a different way when you're not around, you don't have to actually cut them off. You can still love people from a distance, but set your boundaries. Setting boundaries with any type of frenemy relationship helps protect you.
But how healthy is that for a person to set a boundary for somebody who they know is their frenemy and really doesn't have their best interest at heart, period? So so it makes sense to still entertain that person or I'm thinking about friend groups, so that person would still be in a friend group or have a girls' night out or a guys' night out with this type of person around. Do you so you don't isolate yourself from that type of person? It's okay in life. We're gonna deal with those type of people.
I think it's not healthy for you. I think it's going to teach you discipline. Because now you're around this person and you have to learn to control your emotions. You have to learn to control your tongue. You have to learn how to let things roll off your shoulder. So it teaches you discipline. It teaches you, it kind of helps, I would think, it helps your discernment because now you know what this type of person look like. You see what I'm saying? You know what their behavior is like. You know how they move and stuff. So now when you see that in other people that you might have heard, like they said something about you, you already know what you're dealing with. So it gives you knowledge. I think in some cases, it may be a string to where you have to cut off. But in most cases, because you're going to run across these type of fake, because I think frenemies are fake people. They're dishonest people. They lack integrity. They have jealousy spirits and envy. And you're going to run into those people your whole life. So you can't avoid everybody that's jealous of you. You can't avoid everybody that's envy of you. You can't just cut off everybody. So you have to learn how to deal with these people, which helps make you a better person.
Now, I just said that they was talking about you behind your back and that it got back to you. Now, the bird that brought you the information, they told you what was said by another person, but they never tell you what they said and or why that person felt comfortable even dissing you and or talking about you to them, in front of them. So what about the Tweety bird that brought you the information? Is that a frenemy also?
Well, it depends on how the delivery is. You'd have heard the saying, don't shoot the messenger. So if they come and they own up, hey, this is what happened, X, Y, and Z. We were talking about, and they give you the information and you can kind of tell, like they're they're being honest
That
or what
might be a
happened.
genuine person.
They might be a genuine person trying to look out and want to warn you, or they had your interests and they said what they said, or they're trying to protect, or they however it went. I don't think that could be a frenemy. But when you have people come and just you can tell a difference when somebody just being messy. You can tell the difference when somebody just want to gossip or, girl, this what, whatever. And then those, I think you should be very skeptical of those type of people.
Now, because I want to get to the married part, but before we get there, what about the people who talk to you about everyone else? They're also going to talk about you to everyone else. How do you handle that? Do you sit and gossip with that said person who has the personality type that wants to talk about everybody? And I mean, clearly, when they leave your presence,
they talk about you.
They talk about you as well. What about that person, that friend?
So I done dealt with.
That's normal.
I have dealt with that type of person and learned from that experience. I didn't even know this person was a frenemy. So what you have to be careful with those, because they're coming telling you, oh, they don't like this person, they got this going on. And I'm speaking from a personal experience. They told me that they didn't like these type of people and this was going on, this and that. And then I found myself feeling a way because my friend felt the way about them. And then I looked up, my friend was friends with these people. They were all in their face and hanging out with them without me knowing, after you just sit there and told me why you don't like these people. And they also end up, like you said, they just like they was telling me about those people.
Pull up.
They was just talking about those people. You know what I'm saying? Like they were talking about me to those people. And so with me, with that particular situation, I just removed myself, because now I see how you really are. You've been playing this game and I didn't even see it coming, painting me as this person to these people. Me personally didn't have the time and energy to try to clear my name or go prove myself, because if y'all really cared about me, you would came to me and wanted to know me for me. So if you didn't, I just kind of cut all ties with these people, went on by my way. And I learned that, hey, be skeptical when people come and tell you stuff. And I also learned you don't gossip with people. I don't even want to sit up and talk. I would tell you. I like to tell people how I feel if they ask me. If a person sits up and talk about people and I'm around and I listen to it, or, I'm hearing it, I'm usually not going to be in that position again to have to listen. Or if I'm close enough, I would just let them know, I don't really care about what these people got going on.
I think that's the most dangerous type of frenemy. People who play both sides and are capping to both parties or everybody that they honestly deal with. And so you capping with everybody you deal with, playing both sides, talking about everybody, gossiping left and right. That's just a messy person. I don't think anybody involved can grow with that type of person.
And on that same situation, I learned when I removed myself, when I would run into people, they would talk about, the truth end up exposing that person. So you don't have to do anything when it comes to these type of people. You learn from them. You set your boundaries so you don't have to be in that situation or burnt again. You know what I'm saying?
Not to get too personal about that particular situation, but you said they burn their cells from their actions or from...
Well, people start seeing, because apparently I wasn't the only person they done that to. Apparently they had some flaws within themselves that other people was like, hold up, something ain't right about them. Or they exposed that they, people realize that they are a liar. Or, that they will lie on people for no, I know for me, I have talked to our children, right? And, you kind of say, okay, baby, well, everybody see that but them? You know what I'm saying? Or everybody kind of seeing that this person, this is who they are. They exposed who they were.
So that type of friend right there is that type of characteristic in a person right there. Are you saying that they're going to end up friendless?
Most of the time they do, unless they make some change or growth or mature in the situation. They usually end up friendless from those previous friends and end up getting, a new messier crowd or something.
I was just about to say that people who normally get new friends every 2 to 5 years, I don't want to be around you. You probably don't even know how to be a friend. Okay, let's move forward to the married section, which gets a little messy. married women with single jealous friends. Why do you think some married women don't see the shade until it's too late? I.e., she's always got a backhanded compliment about you, your situation, you, your spouse. You can't see the hate, but it's there, and now you're getting burned. What about that?
I think people deal with people because of their loyalty to them, because of the history. A lot of times they want to overlook and just kind of accept that person. And I don't always think it's just single friends. I think married friends can have a little bit of jealousy and bad advice too, because things are not going as well maybe in certain areas like that they would want to have happen, but it might be going for you. So I think you just have to be careful when it comes to a marriage. You have to be careful, you have to be guarded and protective of what you have.
Now, what about the single friends who make you question your blessings? Is that a thing? I mean, I see the face you just made, but is that a thing that happens?
I don't know, because I mean, I don't deal with people that make me question my blessings. And if they try to, or yeah, I don't deal with them type of people. Now, I have had people who try to pressure you or try to make you feel bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have had people be like, girl, you ain't gonna stay. You act like you have to run home just because he finna be home, or it's like, yeah. And I just kind of cut that short. Yeah, that's my husband. I like spending time with my husband. I like his company. I mean, I'm sorry if you don't feel that way about whoever you're dealing with, but yeah, I want to be in my husband's company. I like to see him. I ain't seeing him, or when he's off, I want to be with him. I don't want to look in your single face. You know what I mean? That's just the truth. So yeah, you have to be careful with it. But no, I don't think. I think if you have somebody in your life that's trying to make you feel bad, or paint the perspective of your blessing, or look at, or like sometimes as women we would vent to our single friends and they tell you what they wouldn't do or how they wouldn't do this and this and that. You shouldn't take that advice. Like, you shouldn't want to even stop discussing what you got going on with your single friends. For one, their advice is not going to be accurate. They're talking about what they wouldn't do, but then when they get there, they'll do exactly opposite what they said they wouldn't do. I have seen where people, I call it, and I hate to say it like this, but they become crash dummies. And it's just the truth. I'm just using this as an example. I have seen where women be like, I'm not going to do this. He going to have to do X, Y, and Z. And girl, I wouldn't do, you know what I'm saying? And then when they finally get something, they're so just wanting anything, like they ain't even standing up to half of the standards that they said, and that person not even standing up to what you got. So it's like, yeah, you became a crash dummy.
When growth exposes insecurities in a friendship, when both parties were on the same level at some point. But what about that? Because I know you.
Repeat it one more time.
When growth exposes insecurities within a friendship, because somebody grew and the other party didn't, but both parties at one point were on the same level, mentally, situational, financial, and now growth has happened with somebody, and somebody that growth didn't happen with somebody else, and insecurities and exposure happens.
Yeah, exposure.
What do you think about that?
I think
that's definitely a real thing.
It is. I think with that, so you're going to grow. You want to grow. That's what you're supposed to do in life. And sometimes, and I have dealt with people thought that they were actually growing, but wasn't. And so they were saying like, oh, you didn't grow in this, and trying to pull you down. Like, you want to disconnect from them type of people. Or if y'all are really true friends and they starting to expose themselves, you should be able to have a conversation with someone. Tell them, hey, you're slipping in this area, which will also help them grow in that area, just like vice versa. But if you can't do that and it's starting to really expose, because that's when the room comes in with jealousy, animosity, you should be able to really have to be honest and have a communication with people. When you have relationships where you can't be honest with them, you have to walk on eggshells, you should just get out of their way anyway.
Some people liked you better when you were broken because it made them feel whole.
That's true. That's a true thing. And that's exactly what goes on with those friendships where when you're growing, y'all started here and now you're growing and they can't handle the growth because now they have to face their own insecurities. They have to see where they lack or what they need to work. And a lot of times it's hard for people to accept that. And so now it bothers them. They like you better when you was broken or not growing because it helps them feel better about themselves. Now you're not making them look at themselves and they should evaluate and rise to the occasion. But instead, now all that other stuff comes in.
Now that's a perfect way into our red flags of a toxic friend and or a frenemy. Number one, always comparing themselves to you. That's why it was a perfect segue. People who are always comparing themselves to you, I know you just spoke on that, but in a friendship, comparison is the thief of joy, right? Can I enjoy being friends with Big Ford if I'm always comparing myself to him? Can I enjoy being friends with Big Troop if I'm always constantly comparing myself to him? Can we have genuine friendship?
No. And comparison is not just not healthy for friendships. It's just not healthy in your life, period. You shouldn't be comparing yourself, whether it's a friend, whether it's another person, whether it's a celebrity, whatever you got going on, remove comparison because you are uniquely made. You are going to walk your own journey. You have your own personalities and traits that's not supposed to be like anybody else. So why are you comparing? And that's an issue with a lot of stuff that goes on in society and especially among women, that comparison needs to cease.
Now, the second red flag is targeted towards women, and I want you to bust it down for us. It is has time for drama, but never your progress. What about that? Is that definitely a red flag to watch out for?
Yes.
As far as a friend?
Because if anytime somebody can always pull up with the drama, anytime somebody is always there to hear the what's not going good for you, anytime somebody want to show up and kind of like it's like they feeding off the mess or whatever bad is going into the negativity in your life, but when something positive they get mute. They're nowhere to be seen. They ain't got time for the phone call because it's positive that's going on. That should be clear sign that you need to remove that person out your life. They're not there for you. They're there to feed off they waiting on your downfall. Let them go.
I have three more. We're gonna get through these pretty fast. Avoids direct conversations. That made me think that if we have a real conversation, we're gonna end up opening up to each other. Pause. And this said friend doesn't want to open up. Maybe they've dealt with some recently new trauma and they don't, maybe they're just not ready. Is that a true sign of, or is that a real red flag? Because they could just not be ready to have certain conversations, at this point,
So when I say people don't, when I think about what you said, what was the red flag?
Avoiding conversation.
Avoiding conversation. I wouldn't say that someone because I might be private.
That's what I'm saying.
I might be private and not want to talk about, like I am a very private person. I have learned because of my experience, and you got frenemies and people like that, you have to be very cautious and protective of what you say and put out there and let people know. Now, as time go on and you build that trust with someone, yeah, you're going to let them in and you want to be an ear, but you shouldn't look at it like it's a red flag. When I think about avoiding conversation or people who, it's almost like you got to be friends. The people who you kind of cordial with and you're direct with them, but they got a lot to say about you when you're not around. But if you go to one person and say, hey, what's the issue? This and that, now they all passive aggressive. They don't want to talk about it. That's a red flag. That's a red flag because you got people who you're cordial with. And so if you have a friendship of a friend, you don't want to be dealing with them like people that you don't deal with on a regular basis that you're cordial with. So that's what I would think about with avoiding the conversation. Eventually, like it's so borderline because if we have been friends for a certain long time, and I have shown you that I'm trustworthy and you don't want to confide in me, I mean, after a certain long, I might ask you why. That's why I think being honest, don't you avoid the conversation. If it bothers you that, hey, you never tells me anything, but I'm always telling you, then have that conversation and find out what's the underlying issue. But if it's a new friendship or something, like some stuff people just not going to talk about with you. And that's fine.
And that's understandable, but I did think that I figured you would shoot that red flag down, but I thought it was still worthy of bringing up. So that was number 3. I think this is going to be a good one. Never celebrating your wins without bringing up their own achievements. I slide to the finish line and I call my mans, but then he want to start telling me about whatever went on with his small business as well or whatever like that, which is cool. I don't know if that's a true red flag, but if the conversation was about this, that, or the third, and now we're shifting it to, I guess basically when a friend makes everything and all the conversation all about them.
When I hear that, I think about more of women. It's almost like the other part of
that
how
was
women
kinda,
don't show
yeah.
up for the like a lot of women deal with so much mess and drama and jealousy and avoidance that it almost looks normal when a person doesn't show up, or they always showing up looks it can be confusing that they're showing up for the mess. They're showing up and being there with the negativity, but not the wins. With women, I think a lot of that goes on and we overlook it. And so you should definitely look at it as a red flag. With this particular one, I think that's more, you ever, as a woman, I have seen and have heard or have experienced where, we sharing our good news and this and that. Oh yeah, we done that. We used to do that. Oh, I remember that time. It's almost like, it looks like that comparison. You know what I'm saying? Like, dang, we can't never just talk about what I got going on. We got to talk about you too. And you always bring it up because maybe there's an underlying comparison, jealousy, envy or something going on. So yeah, I can see how that can be a red flag when I hear that, especially among women. I don't really see that much of that with men, but I don't know.
Last red flag, constantly playing the victim.
I just wouldn't even deal with them people. That
Yeah,
vibration is so low. You always the victim. You're never you always the one. No, I don't
Never
even want
the
to
victor.
I don't even want to deal with that. Like I don't even want to be friends with somebody who's always the victim. I'm gonna probably slowly but distance myself or cut that person off. I'm sorry, I can't always be like you don't hold no accountability. I would say I have a couple of things that will help you deal with it if you are experiencing, or how to avoid becoming one of these people. You don't want to become a frenemy. As I mentioned before, you want to set boundaries. You want to be honest. Let me just kind of go back with the set boundary. You want to notice when someone drains you. If it makes you question your worth or crosses limits that interrupts your peace. You need to set a boundary if they're doing that, because that's not healthy for you, or, or the other person. Be honest. We just talked about it. Open communication, being honest with people. I should be able to tell you what you need to work on and uplift you, and you should be able to do vice versa. Work on your own triggers. Understand where your insecurities come from. If someone is sitting there saying, I ain't got no insecurities, everybody has an insecurity. Know your insecurities, work on your insecurities, and then that way you won't be triggered. But if you're in denial like that, you got a long ways to go, and you need to work on that. Everyone has some type of insecurity. And surround yourself with genuine people. Go where you're celebrated. I've said that before. Go where you're celebrated. Go where you're wanted. Go where people really genuinely want you to see you happy and succeed in life.
I agree with all that. I think that was a wonderful closing. In my closing, I have choose your circle wisely.
That's good.
Protect your peace and protect your purpose. It's okay to outgrow people. It's okay to outgrow people. Don't worry about them. Did I just repeat myself like Dr. Umar? Silence can be loyalty too, as long as jealousy is not attached to it.
That's good.
Okay? I just thought that was good.
It was.
Yeah. And God will remove those in your life who are not supposed to be there. And I tell all my friends and people to accept what God allows. Don't just accept what God allows, accept who God allows. in your life. Because, everybody, I want to be friends with this person and they're cool, and I want to be friends with Sally and she's cool. I mean, you might supposed to be friends with Rebecca or Mark and they're lame, but they're a genuine soul and have a genuine relationship with you and might have genuine love for you. And that's what I got in my closing. Choose your circle wisely. And it's always okay to lose a so-called friend. Like, my mama told me, if you have one genuine friend in life, that you were lucky.
I
Lucky.
agree. And I would say with closing with my red flag, especially towards women, if you can always, they can always be honest with you and you accept it, but you can never be honest with them, you might want to question that relationship.
That was a good one. Yeah, man, that was a good one. All right, guys, that's all we got. That's Major, and watch this podcast right here.
That's major.